You're welcome to another episode of the Mental Saturday Check. My name is Satara Abdullah. Our topic for discussion today is postpartum depression. Well, this topic was chosen mainly in reference to our just ended Health Week celebration, which was on the theme enhancing the basic rules and commitment in eliminating maternal and neonatal mortality. So, before we delve into what postpartum depression is and the risk factors or predispositions to postpartum depression, I think it's very important that we take note of this, that pregnancy and pregnancy-related issues affect the mental health of a woman in a very complex way. And as such, pregnancy is one of the greatest factors that predispose a woman to mental illness in her lifetime, like in her whole lifetime. So during pregnancy, what happens is that there's a boost in psychological and emotional changes in a woman, and these psychological changes might range from minor depression to severe psychosis, which is their worst thing, if I might put it. So I'm pretty sure we've all heard some of the cases of women committing suicide after delivering, or attempting to kill their baby, or actually succeeding in killing their baby. Someone might ask a question like, why wouldn't a woman want to see her own child, or wouldn't want to be close to her own child? The truth of the matter is, it's not really her fault. It's mostly, usually, on almost all occasions, has everything to do with postpartum depression. And that's the unfortunate thing, because postpartum depression usually goes overlooked and is misdiagnosed, and even when diagnosed properly, is usually not treated properly. And this is a very, very serious problem, especially in our part of the world. So now, what is postpartum depression? Postpartum depression describes a complex series of chemical, social, psychological changes associated with having a baby. So what happens is, during pregnancy, there's a marked increase in the female reproductive hormones, and after delivery, these hormones decline very abruptly, and it hasn't really been proven yet, but this is suspected to have something to do with postpartum depression. And as such, postpartum depression is not a character flaw or a personality flaw. You would hear people saying things like, that's just how she is, she just doesn't like people. It's not, it really doesn't have much to do with that, but it's rather a complication, it's rather a severe complication of pregnancy. There are three main types of psychological changes a woman can go through after delivery. The first one being baby blues, or the blues. This is like a normal phase almost every mother goes through after delivery, and usually does not take that long. It might take a couple of hours or even a few days. Usually does not even surpass 2 weeks. Some of the symptoms of this include depression. She might be very anxiety. She might be very anxious. She might cry a lot. She might be so sad. She might have some mood swings as well, but then these go away really quickly, and as such, there's no need actually to see a healthcare provider. Secondly, you have postpartum depression. Now, this has similar symptoms to the blues, only that the effects of these symptoms are stronger and they last longer. And as such, the lady is not able to perform her daily activities. So when baby blues last longer and affect her daily life, and that is postpartum depression. And this actually is very severe, and you would always have to see a healthcare provider, usually for medications or for counseling. The third type is postpartum psychosis, and that's like the severest form of it all. This usually begins in about the fifth day after delivery, and has symptoms ranges from normal symptoms of depression. You could have hallucinations, both auditory and visual. That's when she sees things that are not real or hears things that are not real. She realizes that she's usually confused and she's delusional. She has these phases of psychosis, severe psychosis, and you would definitely immediately have to see a healthcare provider, because she tends to be suicidal at this point and could actually harm herself or her baby. So Now we move on to the risk factors of postpartum depression. So for the risk factors of postpartum depression, there are a lot. So you have if you have a history of depression, so people currently living with depression, someone living with depression prior to her pregnancy is at a very, very high risk of getting postpartum depression after her delivery. The younger you are, the more predisposed you are to postpartum depression. The social status of the person and social support system. If the lady has no support system, this usually affects her emotionally and tends to predispose her to postpartum depression. One might ask, how common is this? Well, the truth is, 1 in every 10 women go through a phase of depression during her pregnancy. 7 out of 10 women go through the baby blue phase, and you have 1 out of 10 people going through postpartum depression. 1 out of 1,000 people going through postpartum psychosis. So if you'd ask me, I would say this is very common, actually way too common. So now we move on to some of the treatments of postpartum depression, and this mostly is done by healthcare provider, and you can have medications depending on the treatment for postpartum depression varies differently for different women because this manifests different in various women. You have medications, antidepressants for postpartum depression, sometimes antipsychotics for postpartum psychosis. In severe cases, the lady would actually have to be admitted in a hospital because she might be of harm to herself and other people. You have psychotherapy, which includes counseling and the provision of a support system for the lady. Is postpartum depression permanent? Well, I would say yes and no. Let me break this down. So what happens is, despite the fact that postpartum depression can be treated, the risk of it reoccurring in subsequent pregnancies is very, very high. And when this happens, it's usually even more severe than the previous ones. And ladies who have postpartum depression are at a very high risk of getting chronic depression later on in their life. So hence, my yes and no. So the last thing before I go is to note that new fathers also can have postpartum depression. Yes, I said that. Men can also have postpartum depression, and the symptoms of these are usually similar to that in the mother or might actually be milder, but men do have postpartum depression and should absolutely see a healthcare provider when they do. Very important. They should absolutely see a healthcare provider when this happens. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Satara Abdullah once again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your comments, and you should definitely share. I'm very interested in knowing what you think and what you have to say. You might as well leave any questions you have down there. Thank you and see you next Saturday.